Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Steelhead Alley Outfitters fishing report with Patrick Robinson. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing well, Marvin. Great to be back with you again today.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how was the duck hunting?
The duck hunting was good. You know, it was another adventure under the belt. This time it was a DIY trip exploring a region that I'd never been in before. So we had some lofty goals, but we knew out of the gate that some of those goals might not be achieved. And unfortunately, that is what happened. I mean, we definitely killed some new species, which was probably the smallest goal, but the trophy birds that we were looking for eluded us this time. But the good thing is we got the read on them, and we know exactly what to do the next time around. And so if we decide to make another trip out, which is highly likely, I think we're going to knock it out of the park next time around. So it was a good time.
Well, good. And, you know, I looked at your weather, and make no mistake about it, it's winter time on Steelhead Alley.
It has arrived, my friend. In fact, yesterday we had the first, we want to call it winter cancellations due to ice. So we definitely dropped down, into the ice box within the last week. You know, nighttime temps down in the teens, daytime temperatures not getting above freezing. And so it looks like for the at least the short term, looks like we're going to be iced out and looking for those weather windows. So I know next week there are a couple of days we're supposed to jump up above freezing. One day they're forecasting low 40s and some rain. So those are kind of the days that we look for. We're like, you know, if we can get that warm up and have rain as opposed to snow and get enough rain, you know, it'll blow all that ice out, and you may have a really good window of fishing for a couple of days, you know, before temperatures crash back out and things slow down enough to be able to ice things back up again. But yeah, as of right now, we are definitely in the ice box on Steelhead Alley and sitting in front of the Norvice. Right.
Yeah. Well, there are certainly worse ways to spend your time. And so if things unlock and it warms up and you get a little bit of rain and then ice moves out, is that going to leave the fish predominantly in their wintering holes, or does that little bit of water let some folks come in from the lake too?
Well, yes, to both of those.
Okay.
So it can get some fish moving in the river system. You know, you could actually have some fish that came in the fall that were fall spawning fish actually moving out of the system. And this time of year, you know, a lot of people get so focused on mid-March and April, thinking that that's the peak of steelhead season. That's not necessarily the peak of steelhead season. That's the peak of angler season. You know, a lot of fish are here and gone in our rivers because people totally neglect the earlier part of the season. So if in February, late January sometimes, but in February, we get those warm-ups and you get a big push of water, those fish are definitely waiting to come in. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone to some of these rivers and you look at gravel bars on the inside corners, inside of the bends, and you find reds way up on dry ground, you know, where those fish came in and they spawned and everything on high water and were back out in the lake and you never even knew they were there. So yeah, when we do get those bumps of water with some of those midwinter warm-ups, you're definitely going to have some fresh little manatee strain fish coming in. And so be on the lookout for them because they will definitely be there and they'll be fresh fish. They'll be definitely the ones that you want to go after. And so yeah, just keep an eye on transition spots when the water is on the drop. You know, as the waters regulate and kind of settle in, fish will kind of, you know, find holes and resting areas and that kind of thing. But when the water's rising and the water's dropping pretty hard, fish are transitioning oftentimes. So don't be afraid, even in the winter water, to pick some of those spots in case you have fish pushing through the system.
Yeah, got it. And, you know, to kind of help people take advantage of this kind of secret winter season, you guys are still running a special, right?
We are. Yeah. We, last year was the first year I had seen in 12 years of doing this where we never froze up. And so this year we decided to try and help kind of shine some light on the fishability of the alley due to mild temperatures by running the sale and just trying to help people get out, because most people just assume, you hit January and February, everything's iced up and they just pretty much get it out of their head. So this year we decided we were going to run the biggest sale that we've ever ran during the winter season. And so we're currently still in the deepest part of that sale. So the month of January and the first half of February, we're running what we call the year-end blowout sale. It's $100 off any full day guided trip, whether that's a float trip or a walk and wade trip. And then the latter half of February, that reduces down to $50 off per day. And then March 1, we're back to full prices again. But just trying to give some guys incentive to get out there during the winter and experience what the winter fishery can look like, because it really can be an amazing time. I've got a good friend and past client that fished with me many times over the years, and he still talks about one of our late season trips that we did together. We never saw another single soul on the river that day. There was 8 inches of fresh snow. We caught all kinds of fish, and he still talks about that being his absolute favorite day. Scenery was amazing. No battling of crowds. The fish were plentiful. And so there's just a lot of people that don't understand how cool the winter steelhead game can actually be if you're willing to get out there and go for it. So we're trying to give people the incentive to do it.
Yeah, very neat. And we've got a question too from another Patrick, cool. Who's traveling to fish for steelhead, and I think he's going to do it yourself type of a thing, and really was looking for tips on, you go somewhere new, and obviously, a lot of times when that happens, you're fishing when you can, not necessarily when the fishing is the best. And, what are you looking at in terms of maybe flows and temperatures and, other things to maximize that trip?
Yeah. Well, I guess first of all, if I kind of approach it from the standpoint of how I approach things, and I'm definitely a planner, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that does the time frame that I'm going to go line up with what the actual season is. Just don't go in blind. Make sure that kind of what the peak seasons are, so that you're within that time frame. There's nothing worse than showing up in the location and hearing, oh yeah, that run was over 2 weeks ago. So make sure that you're within the confines of the regular season. And then the next most important thing is definitely understanding what fishable flows are. And when I started doing this, 15 plus years ago, there weren't stream gauges on everything. A lot of these rivers had 0 stream gauges, and you literally had to know somebody in the area, or you just had to take the time and drive the distance to get to the river to actually put eyes on it to see what it looked like. Nowadays, you can just jump online or jump on your phone and go, oh yeah, man, tomorrow it's going to be fishing awesome, and jump in the car. And so know what the acceptable flows are for streams, and on certain streams, pay attention because some of the streams actually have turbidity gauges, which gauges the sediment in the water. Which unfortunately, you never want streams to have a turbidity gauge, but the ones that do have it for a reason, and that's because they carry a decent amount of sediment in their flows, which will tell you how muddy the water is or how muddy it's not. So pay attention to that, and then when you're on location, I guess just pay attention to your surroundings, man. Check out the parking lots. There's a lot of stuff online that you can find as far as public access and that kind of thing. And there's probably a few other tips that I could give, but I think that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the one thing I would think to maybe add is when you're looking at that stream gauge information, it's really hard if you've never fished somewhere before, but you can always look, because I know the USGS gauges will show you basically like the average on that date over quite a period of time. So you'll get a feel for, is that more water than it's usually in, or is that less water? And it'll kind of help you, kind of come up the learning curve a little bit faster. Yeah, for sure. And so, folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us. You can send them to us on our Instagram or our Facebook page. If we read your question, I'll send you some articulate fly swag, and you're going to get into a drawing for something cool at the end of the steelhead season. And, before I ask you to let folks know where to find you, I do want to give a shout out to our friends at Norvise who's sponsored this fishing report, and let everybody know, particularly if we've got icy conditions on Steelhead Alley and you may not be able to get out and fish, that every Sunday night on the Norvise Facebook page, they have a great live tying event. And sometimes it's Tim O'Neill, one of the owners of Norvise. And other times it's ambassadors and people on their pro staff. And you guys owe it to yourself to check it out. It's on Sunday evenings, usually runs about 90 minutes, and they tie patterns and answer questions. So head on over, and I'll drop a link to that in the show notes too. And, Patrick, why don't you let folks know where they can find you and maybe get one of your blowout deals and get on the water with you or one of your guides?
Yeah, absolutely. They can find us on the web at www.steelheadalleyoutfitters.com. And they can reach me via email at team, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, AM at steelheadalleyoutfitters.com. Or they can reach us by phone at 888-453-5899.
Well, awesome. Well, listen, folks, if we get that little warm up and rain, you owe it to yourself to get out and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Patrick.
Thanks, Marvin. Have a good night.